Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. This video will be the first of two videos about what to do when it comes time to start closing the job at the end of the job. First of all, you will receive, probably you will go to closing, maybe at a title company. They'll give you your final check. And this video is going to be about how to post that final check that you've received and include any closing costs as job costs, or how to pay off a loan that they might have paid off in the closing papers, that type of thing. So this video is going to be about how to post first that closing deposit monies that you receive on the deposit window so that you increase your cash account. And then I will follow that by a video about closing the job, actually, with some journal entry tools for closing the job that CHS provides. So we will step through it. You should watch both of these videos when it comes time to think about how to close the job in CHS. So first of all, up here, I'm sitting on the bank deposits menu, which is this button here on the home tab. And the reason I went there is because I wanted to click to open this help doc, which I did, and now it's sitting in another tab up here in my Firefox browser. Let's get this just a little bit bigger to look at, because we'll refer to it some through this video. And it is saying, before using the features to prepare a job closing journal entry, the closing monies received should be posted as a deposit to your bank account. And like I said, they'll clear any construction loans payable, take care of posting any closing costs to job costs. And the final pages of this document are about closing the job, which will be my second video using the features in CHS. One thing I'd like to point out is the instructions in this video, in this help document, are for builders that are posting job costs to work in progress type of accounts. Like the direct construction cost for your job costs on the NAHB chart of accounts, and that you are posting monies received to liability accounts like construction loans payable, contract deposits, change order deposits, all of those under construction loans payable on the NAHB chart of accounts. Those accounts will not, the balances in those accounts, since they are actually work in progress, is considered an asset account, and these are considered liability accounts. They will not appear on income and profit and loss statements until they are closed with a journal entry, which is what we'll do in the second video. You can read information about the various accounting methods that builders use. If you're on a cash method, you might be posting monies received straight to sales, and job costs straight to cost of sales. But this, we are assuming that you are on maybe a completed contract or percentage of completion method of accounting. Either way, this video will pertain to this. So let's go to the second page. And the first thing I want you to do is, when you get your closing check, or before you even go to that closing thing, you will probably want to print a contract balance report. And in here I'm showing you how the fastest way, because it's just quick and I happen to know it's here, is to go to the draw request window, and we're going to closing for this job to group, this sample job to group for this builder. So I typed it in here, and what I'm wanting to look at is the contract balance and revenues report. I have it on the draw request screen because I'm saying you might use this sort of as your final draw document, because you're going to go actually get the monies at closing for your final draw. So you probably stop doing the individual draw requests that CHS has. But the reason I opened that is we have this set up as a contract type fixed. And our original price was $359,363. CHS is gathering your change order prices and adding that to it. And if you'll watch videos about allowances and how it's figuring out your allowance adjustments, it will add that to it. You should probably have posted almost all of your costs as done on the estimated cost of completion worksheet because the allowance adjustment is using the numbers there, the final numbers, and that means it can project a little bit if you have a couple of costs that aren't in. And one reason you might post the closing deposit received first is to clear out anything like pay off construction loans payable, etc., but also you might be waiting to do your final journal entry because maybe you have some last costs in final journal entry for closing the job. But anyway, we've come up with the current price that we should tell our title company about, should be on our HUD papers, etc., and then less any revenues received. And one reason I want to have this report open before we post our closing deposit is one of the things is to look at what the down payment amount is and see if we match what the closing papers might be. Also, if they're going to pay off a loan, this is the total we're probably showing in our construction loans payable. And so that can be useful information, especially because we're probably going to figure out how much interest they charged. But let's go ahead and export this to PDF. It's a good thing to just get to PDF so that you can minimize it down on your taskbar and refer to it as you work. So we'll open this. I'm opening this in my Adobe Acrobat Reader, and I'll minimize that. So go ahead and take a look at that report, and notice before we close this contract balance we're saying is $34,229.31, but that's probably not the amount of the check we'll get at closing because they'll probably take some closing costs out. So I close that. So let's just go ahead and close the draw request menu, and let's see what we have next. That was post getting that report. So we'll look next. The next thing I say to do is to print a trial balance for the job. Click the button labeled financials and etc., and we'll go do that, and then we're going to come back to this page here. One reason we're printing the trial balance is because maybe we want it to help us figure out it's our actual accounting balances on the books for that job. So if we go home, we need to go to financials, and then we need to click the top bar for financials trial balances, balance sheets trial balances, and we're going to select the job here in the center for the group. I'd like you to notice that I'm not changing my as of date. I'm doing this video in 2016. We're actually really closing this in 2014. You'll see that when we make our entries here in just a bit, but I just want to go ahead and get the current trial balance for this job. And what we notice here is that we have a construction loans payable. By using this trial balance, we know exactly what's on our books as of today. And we still have amounts in direct construction costs, construction loans payable, contract deposits, and change order deposits. Now you're going to see how all of these change after we post our closing entry. But let's just get that one exported to PDF so we have it down on our taskbar for referring to. And we'll just make that big and close that, and we'll close that. So those are a couple of tools you need before getting your deposit. So let's go back to the bank deposits menu. We're about to post the deposit received, but let's take a look here. Some of this stuff, here's our closing papers, is what I'd like you to see, that we're getting from the title company or whoever. And it's using that sales price that we came up with on the contract balance report. Maybe we gave it to the title company people as our final sales price, which we'd agreed in our contract we'd be also collecting change orders, etc. Then on the closing papers, we have a loan payoff, it shows here, which is $337,033.11. But on our trial balance, which we minimized, but you can see it up here, here's a copy of it, $327. We have this amount for the total of the draws that we took. So usually the difference between the loan payoff amount on your closing papers and a balance you might have, which is a total of your interim draws, etc., is interest. So we're going to need to be posting that interest when we post the closing deposit and recognizing that as a job cost. So just hold on to that thought. They've also said minus $15,000 for a down payment, which totally agrees to our contract deposits of $15,000 and was on our list of revenues in that contract balance report. Other payments received $16,598, which we posted to change order deposits account number 2020 as we received some payments from the buyers for change orders. So since that's the change order prices is included in what we're calling our sales price, the title company needed to deduct those from it. Then they take away a title policy and they take away recording fees. And they come down to giving us a check for $16,101.91. Now remember, on our contract balance report we showed $34,229.31, and that to tie that, then the fact that we're only getting this much instead of this much is that they charge this much for a title policy, this much for recording fees, this much for interest expense on the loan was taken when they when they paid off the loan, and then here's the check that they're giving us. So all of those together tie to what our contract balance report was saying at that time. Now after we post the deposit, we'll go look at that contract balance report again. So the very next page on this help document is a screenshot, which now we're going to go post this deposit, but you can print this help document out and have this screenshot here. Then I'm going to go back up here because this might be a little of the information I've scribbled or have somewhere, my closing papers that I'm looking at while I'm posting this deposit. So let's go get that deposit posted. Let's do add new deposit. And we're going to play like we were at closing on February 15th, 2014. First of all, I have Stewart Title set up as a payor, and I'm going to use that as who's written the check to us. You will need to use the features on the Home tab for payers list, etc., to set up any new payers before you come in here. I'm going to click the edit button just so you can see basically what that payer setup is. But you need to have your payer set up before you open this window. That's because we need it to be in this drop down list when you come in. We don't need to be making changes, adding a new payer. It's hard to explain, but we don't want that drop down list to try to load all new payers each time. So let's say their check number from Stewart Title is 6783321. We are going to be doing it for the job to group, so we'll use that. And notice how CHS looks to see what department is attached to that job and drops it in for you, which helps keep your department trial balances, etc. in check. We do not care about accounts receivable or change order for this big closing entry. So the first line I'm going to do is the sales price off the HUD statement, and I have set up in my deposit categories a category called sales price, and I've told it that it should be posted to 2010 contract deposits. And we're still holding that in liability. We're not going to go put that in sales yet. That will be on our income statement, the sales account. That will be handled in our next video where we're actually posting the closing journal entry. But let's select that sales price as our deposit category. And because we set up our deposit categories for the default GL number to be contract deposits, it dropped in for us. And so we're going to put that whole sales price that's on the HUD papers right here, 393,044.84. I had to look at that. You can see that here, 393,044. Next, we need to deal with the fact that they did a loan payoff. But what you need to be careful with is First of all, let's deal with the other parts of this first before we deal with the loan. They took away the down payment. We can see that we initially posted that to 2010, so we want to be sure that we take care of that. So let's type in here, apply down payment, because we're trying to come down to where the total down here is equal to the total of the check that they gave us. So let's select, we have a deposit category set up for down payments, which is what we used when we initially posted that 15,000 received. Now what we're going to do is take this away from that sales price, which will actually cause an in and out entry that from our original down payment we received, now we're taking it out. So let's continue. And let's go ahead and look at our closing papers again. They also took away other payments received, that 16. We can see on our books it's to 2020. So we want to be sure we're clearing that 2020. So we're going to say apply CO money received for change order. And we will use the change order deposit category because now we want to actually clear that so that it's going to total to 0 for us. It doesn't change. This does not affect showing your list of change orders and payments for change orders. It's minus 16,598.92. Let's check that amount. 16,598.92. We'll come back to the title policy. Right now, we're going to handle the loan payoff. So, let me copy this line. And what we want to be sure of is, first of all, let's type payoff loan balance. Now, remember on our books, we want to put this, we've been posting when we received those interim draws, we've been using that deposit category. Now we want to use it again so that we're going to clear that account number 2000. Let's take a look at our thing. Notice that construction loans payable is 327,216.61. That is the amount we want to clear from our books to get this construction loans payable to 0, even though they took 337. I'll show you what we're going to do with that interest. So we're going to do minus 327,216.61. So we'll do that here, 216.61. Now I'd like to pause here for a minute. Now what you'll see is that 34,229.31. And if you'll remember on that contract balance report that we opened, we were showing 34,229.31. So we are tying to what we said. This is the balance on our contract right now, what we need to receive. So basically the title company is giving us that, but then they are taking out that interest and that title policy and the recording fees and maybe even more, but we're trying to do a simple example. So what we need to do is get this down to the 16,000 they gave us, and we want to recognize job costs. So let's go ahead and copy this line. The reason I'm copying, not just doing a plus, is because I don't want to re-enter the check number and the job over here. So first of all, let's call this Stewart Title loan interest. And what we want to do now is have this go to our job costs. We're not clearing any liability balances anymore. And I want you to watch what happens when I select the job cost deposit category, which is one that CHS insists that you have and is provided when you set it up. You just need to tell it in your your deposit category setup, you need to tell it what your work in progress account is. And ours is 1430 direct construction costs. So that'll drop in when you select that deposit category. But now notice there's some extra fields over here for us to apply this to a job cost. So first of all, let's do the interest here, minus 9816.5. And if you'll remember looking at our help document, we figured out how much the interest was because they took this much amount out of the HUD papers, and our balance was $327, the total of our draws received, and the difference is the interest. So we're going to apply that to job costs. And if you look at the help document, our cost code is 1510 for construction period interest. You might have a different cost code, or you might need to set it up. 25% markup dropped in just because on our budget worksheet we added a 25% markup to that cost code field when we were budgeting for this interest. So now by doing this, this will show up on a job cost report, this 9,816. And in a minute we're going to see how behind the scenes CHS reverses every one of these for accounting. But to make intuitive sense for posting a deposit, you'll see up here it says, but we'll post positive line amounts as credits. So this will show up as a credit and negative amounts as debits, which is backwards accounting thinking, but we need to do this full amount and then do minus amounts so we can tell our cash account to put the amount in that we want. So we also have some a title policy that they took out. If we look at our thing, they did the title policy for $7,860.90. So we need to do Stewart title policy. I'm going to use job cost again because we want that to be it is a cost of our job, and it's telling me about how these fields are open. So that title policy was minus 7860.90. Our cost code for that on our set of cost codes is 7710. That's where we might have budgeted for it. When I tab, you'll see that there's 25% markup, which doesn't matter much at closing here. And let's do one more line. We're still not quite down to the 16,000, the amount of the check, and we see that we need to do recording fees for $450. So let's do that, and we'll just type recording fees here. Oh, never mind. I don't want to do that. That was dumb. I need to do a new line. So let's copy this line. And then we'll do recording fees. We also want this one to be a job cost. If you ever wonder why these aren't exactly lining up, it's because once you apply a line, you have this pencil-edit icon up here. New line doesn't have that quite yet in the middle of it. It won't show up till actually it's a set line. And this is $450, I believe. Yes. We want to do that as a minus from our sales price. And our our cost code, not GL, is 7740 for that. Now, notice all your GL accounts are over here for accounting. These all went to your direct construction costs. These went to interim draws. And if you look at your trial balance, be sure those are working for clearing those out. So now we have come down to the exact amount of the check we received. So we're ready to put it to our construction checking, which right now in this guy is this much. And we're going to use a date, the date that we got the money and that we're taking it to the bank of 2014. Since I'm doing this video in 2016, I'm going to get a warning that I've entered this several months old, and I would get another warning if I'd set up my current period and I'm typing in a date outside of the current period. But just ignore that for now because we're doing demos. So we're going to go ahead and submit this deposit, which means we will increase our checking account 1025 by the amount of that check. If I just kind of want to take a look at the entries that just got posted, I can make sure the total of this deposit here is 16,101. I can take a look at what GL numbers I posted those amounts to, et cetera, et cetera. This screen here is still showing this as a plus amount and these as minus amounts to total up to this. But what I'd like to show you now, this is just for viewing so you can figure out how we came down to this so that it makes logical sense. I'd like to show you that if you go to this deposit totals cash side, just to take a look at what it's done accounting wise, you can see if you look here on 2015, here's our amount. If you drill down, you'd see the screen I just showed you. But if you click this for view JE, that means view the accounting journal entry basically. It's a batch, excuse me, shows the deposit, the date, the deposit ID. And you can see, like if you look at the sales price here, it has been posted as a credit to contract deposits. The cash has been posted as a debit, then the sales price, and all of these are debits like they should be behind the scenes. Something to contract deposits, change order deposits, paying off our construction loan payable, and here's our direct construction costs that we posted. So if I close that, let's see what I'm talking about next. We've now done, we posted our entry. There's our big entry, a screenshot of it. And I just showed you how to view that journal entry that was created by CHS. Now let's go check the contract balance report again, now that we've posted that entry. So remember, I just jumped over to draw request screen because that's a fast way to get that report. And we'll go here. You could also get contract balance reports when you're working on estimated cost of completion, looking at those reports. So let's take a look at our contract balance report now. And let's get back up to the top here. Now notice that here's our sales price less revenues received of the same amount, and contract balance is 0. Let's take a look at these revenues. First of all, it has cleared out the change orders. It's cleared out the down payments, but it shows you how it's doing it with the individual lines. The interim draw has been cleared out to 0. And what we have left here is the sales price, $393,044, as the revenues we received, because basically we have received revenues of this much, and part of our stuff went to job costs or paying off loans, but total that we have received now is that calculated sales price that we have, so we're happy with that contract balance report being 0. Let's see what I say next that you ought to take a look at. Let's check the trial balance now after we've posted that entry. So let's go back. I already have the financials button open with this balance sheets expanded. And let's look at the trial balance for the job now. Notice that we have direct construction costs is all we have, and contract deposits, total of that is all we have. We can see the net cash contributed by that job. And our direct construction costs have gone up because we have posted job costs when we posted that job closing entry. So they've gone up some now. And so your very next step after checking that, if we go here, is to post your job closing journal entry. And we're going to do that in the next video. You can see how we're seeing our beginning trial balance here in this help document. You might be waiting. You might have gotten that job closing check on February 15th, but maybe you know a few more costs might be coming in, job costs, and you might want to wait to get those posted so that you have the total of your direct construction costs. And in that job closing journal entry, we will be showing how you're moving this amount to cost of sales and your contract deposit to sales on your income statement. So thank you for watching, and please be sure you use this help document to help you with everything that I was just going over. Talk to you in the next video. Please watch it about closing the job.